Good evening. My name is Ethan James, and this is the Ethan James Podcast. Now, have I actually got a show for you today? We're going to be talking about a few things that I'll go over real quickly. The first one is eschatology, premillennialism, dispensationalism. That was a mouthful, right? So we're going to be talking about that, dissecting it. And then next, we're going to be talking about the Jews. Ooh, the Jews. We better be careful what we say. And then after that, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Trump, Epstein, Mossad, Target Justice and Scott's situation, and new founding and exciting new ventures. Genius Act / crypto, and how I got into it myself and where I think it's going. And without further ado, we're going to hop right into it. So pulling up right over my face is Daniel 7. Now, Daniel 7 is usually used to justify visions of a dramatic doomsday end for modern day, the modern day. And but what we're going to look at here is that this is actually historical events that went on already and have been done. So they would call this a preterist view of Daniel 7, which means that these prophecies have been fulfilled. So a futurist is somebody that believes that all these things have yet to be fulfilled. And to grant it, I'm sure that a lot of these things actually a futurist might say they have a preterist view of it. But a lot of the laymen don't actually know that. And they just think, oh, Daniel 7's talking about the end of days. But really what this is talking about, which we're going to get into this vision, is it goes through history of what actually happened. So we're going to do a brief little history overview of what was going on. And then get into sort of the grammatic structure of it to prove that this was something that was talking about that already happened. So without further ado, we're going to pull up the verse again. Boom, bam, boom. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel saw a dream and visions of his head as he lay in his bed. Then he wrote down the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel declared, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up in the great sea. And the four great beasts came up out of the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then I saw as I looked, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And the mind of a man was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one, like a bear. It was raised up on one side. It had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth, and it was told, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked and beheld another like a leopard, with 4 wings of a bird on its back. The beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given over to it. After this I saw in night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke into pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth speaking great things. As I looked, the throne was placed, and Ancient of Days took seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. Its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came out from it before him. 1,000 thousands served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. I looked then, because of the sound of the great words that the horn was speaking, and as I looked, the beast was killed, and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives prolonged for a season and a time. The Son of Man is given dominion. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man, and came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him, was given dominion and glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is everlasting dominion, and shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. So Daniel's vision interpreted. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was in me, was anxious, and the visions of my head alarmed. I approached one of those who stood there and asked him the truth concerning all this. So it's actually one vision. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These 4 great beasts are 4 kings, who shall arise out of the earth. And the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possesses the kingdom forever and ever and ever. Then I desired to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze, which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. But about the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn that came up, and before which 3 of them fell, the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spoke great things, and that seemed greater than its companions. As it looked, this horn made war with the saints and prevailed over them, until the Ancient of Days came. The judgment was given for the saints of the Most High, and the time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, as the 4 beasts, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the kingdoms, and it shall devour the whole earth, and trample it down, break it into pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of the kingdom 10 kings shall arise, another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to charge the time and the law, and they shall be given into his hand, for a time and times and a half time. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. The kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Here is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly alarmed me, and my color changed, but I kept the matter in my heart. So first of all, thank you so much for listening through that whole read. It is important to know exactly what we're talking about as we're talking about it. So these 4 beasts, what are they? Who are they? A lot of dispensational premillennialists go to talking about towards the end, where it's talking about the 4th beast, that those horns, one of them is the Antichrist, the little horn, talks about that. And they think it's much later, further on. But who are the 4 beasts? What are they? So these things actually happened. First, we have the lion with the eagle's wings. So that was representative of Babylon. So that was talking about Babylon as it was, and I'm pretty sure that the stood him up like a man. Maybe it was like that it was actually civilization that was working for a time. You don't have to know all the secrets to be able to place this in history, because the next one is the bear, which was the Medo-Persian Empire. So one was bigger than the other, and it conquered Babylon, Syria. It basically became the new world power. And so this was talked about in Daniel's earlier dream with the statue with its head of gold, its shoulders that were lopsided, and then it would go on to be, spoiler alert, Greece and Rome. So that is the Medo-Persian Empire is the bear, and the 3 ribs are the 3 kingdoms that it destroyed. And then next, we're talking about the leopard. The leopard signified with 4 heads that conquered the whole world. Alexander and the Greeks basically came through, smashed the whole world, and they had 4 major generals, and that was the 4 heads of the leopards. And then after that, the Romans came, and they pretty much defeated everybody and instilled a kingdom around everywhere, and there was Roman law and basically Roman peace everywhere. They conquered everything. That all is historic. Like that's all stuff that happened. It lines up with prophecy. It works. It's solid. And a lot of people don't actually dispute that. But they also, weird thing about premillennialists is they take a literal, rigid stance on things, but yet they symbolize this stuff to mean future things and try and like make it sound like, oh, maybe that beast or whatever is Putin, and to be fair, it's probably more like they'd say Gog and Magog is like Russia and China, and maybe Putin's the Antichrist, or now maybe they'd say Netanyahu or something like that. Who knows? Actually, no, because a lot of dispensationalism has to do with a unique view of the church and Judaism. So this is why you have a lot of Christians that are very pro-Israel or pro-Jewish people. Is because they're dispensational, and they say, okay, bless Israel and you will be blessed. And they don't actually believe that there was a supersessionalism that goes from where it's not just the Jews, the message was for the Jews, but the Gentiles that were brought into the covenant are now the true Israel. And Paul talks about this. Not that the Jews are separated, but they're still a part of it, and there's plenty of Messianic Jews, so we don't want to lump all the Jews together. But the Talmudic Jews are the ones that I think I'm honing in on, because the Talmud is all these extra laws that they place, interpretations from Mosaic laws and stuff like that. And I haven't gotten too much into it, but I don't think I really even necessarily need to. There is some useful information, but the thing about our Bible, the actual Bible, the Old and New Testament, and that's another thing they're trying to do, is say that that the Bible is what they say it is. So they started co-opting the word Bible, but the true Bible is the one that the Protestants have, I believe. So anyway, talking about that, and I hate it when I get on derailed a little bit. But yeah, so they're saying that that's their Bible. I'm probably getting a little off topic, so we're going to continue on with the passage, okay? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ancient of Days. So Ancient of Days being possibly God or Jesus, but I think Son of Man given dominion is part of that. So let's reread it. As I looked, thrones were placed, and Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and his hair was like the head of pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. His wheels were burning fire, and a stream of fire issued, and it came out before him. 1,000,000 served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were open. So, in my mind, what this is talking about, and it, you could jump to the end of the world, but it's kind of in the middle here, talking about the Ancient of Days, is that God pretty much opens the books, and things are like the Old Testament has been written, and the books were open, and you can actually judge things. And so the Jews were actually integrating with the Romans, and just also another thing is that's an interpretation for the Whore of Babylon riding the beast. The Whore of Babylon would have been the apostate, or not, well, I guess the non-Messianic Jews. That would be the Whore of Babylon riding the beast. Anyway, I think Zionists would probably hate me saying that, but I'm not mad about Jewish people having their own state. I just don't want them. I just don't want them co-opting. Like, Judaism is not, like, modern Judaism is not reality. It's not the Bible. It's not truth. And as you can see, there's just some shady stuff going on right now, and I really appreciate Candace Owens' reporting on all this. So I digress. Ancient of Days. So this is God opening up the books, and basically, the books were open. I looked because the sound of great words, this is still the horn at this time, was speaking, and it was looked, and the beast was killed, and its body destroyed and given to be burned by the fire. So if we're keeping things in order, one of these horns is actually around the time that this is all going on. And its body destroyed, given over to and burned with fire. So this is eventually the Roman Empire, and this does get basically torn down and destroyed. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives are prolonged for a season and time. Yeah, so that was already that had already passed by each one. And the Son of Man giving dominion. So this is really good. And also down here as well, just to, not to go through everything again, because we're already 13 minutes in, but we still got some other stuff we got to talk to. And his kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. This is something that after all this has taken place, that the kingdom is reigning eternal. And we see in the New Testament that Jesus is ruling and reigning on his throne right now, and we're living in the kingdom. And the nations will bow. So it's like this is a physical thing. There will be nations in the future. Okay. Getting back over here. Yeah, Ancient of Days, Daniel's visions, anxious visions, be alarmed, and desire to know the truth about the fourth beast, and rest exceedingly terrifying. Yeah, talking about these different kingdoms. The Son of Man. And behold, with the clouds of heaven came like the Son of Man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, so that must have been God, and was presented before him. And Jesus is known as the Son of Man and quoted as the Son of Man, and was presented before him, and to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. So it doesn't end. It doesn't get snuffed out by darkness and evil, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom, one that shall not be destroyed. And the gates of hell will not prevail. Gates being a defensive thing. These are all good talking points from a postmillennial worldview. Yeah, so continuing on as the fourth beast, talking about all that. Yeah, so all these different kingdoms, trying to see if there's anything else that's really relevant here. I do believe that this is pretty concise about talking about that this is all a certain period of time, like a climax of a new change. And the end of the age would be the end of the Jewish age because there's a new covenant. So the kingdom, dominion, and greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. All dominions. Yeah, so this does not sound like something that fades away. This sounds like something that grows. The books are open, and let's see, just to quote it again, the books are open, and the books were open. Okay. You gotta try and give me a little bit of grace here as we continue on because I don't like to do cuts because it's a lot of extra effort to do a lot of editing, and I have a full work life and schedule, and we'll get into exciting new ventures here in just a moment. But moving into the Jews, yeah. So a lot of people are not happy with the Jews right now. You see it all over social media that they're just like their PR is not looking good for them. With the genocide in Gaza, and even now I've started saying stuff like this because there is a famine going on there right now, and the Jews aren't really doing much about it. But to be fair, they have been trying to send some stuff in, but it has been taken by Hamas. Now, this is just something of needing to update tactics, I believe, because, look what Bukele did in El Salvador. They won an entire war without barely any casualties using urban warfare. And although Hamas started this, Israel had pre-intel that they were going to be committing this attack. And so Israel doesn't have a good track record, it seems like, with false flags. Now with Iran, who knows what's all going on there, but they did attack first, and Israel retaliated. So, but all this extra stuff that's going on, bombings in churches and stuff like that, you're kind of thinking, all right, yeah, there does seem to be some war crimes going on here, okay? Both the Muslims and the Jews seem awfully bloodthirsty to me right now. And I don't think that we should be supporting their war. There's like this fifth pillar of American life that's like the Jews, basically. And there comes this question of dual loyalty. Like, are you loyal to Israel or are you loyal to America? And America is a Christian nation, not a Jewish nation. So there's some deep conflicts there. But a lot of people have been co-opted. That like there's the Jewish propaganda arm that's actually, they're paying conservative leaders. And there's a lot of conservative leaders that are coming out now and like praying at the wall. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, why are you doing that? Why are you praying at the wall? It's Jerusalem. Sure, you can pray there. That's great. Pray everywhere. Pray without ceasing. But why are you making a show of praying on the wall in solidarity for the Jews? And it's I don't know. It's like trying to co-opt a bunch of Christians that aren't really critically thinking about what's going on. Like, what is Israel actually doing? Are they doing bad things? And how much are we funding them again? So yeah, just getting into the Jews. And I was watching a video that came up of this new aspiring channel. Had like 37,000 views, and YouTube's been pushing a lot of new YouTubers. And they were talking about Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, and how Candace Owens is just filled with hate, apparently, for the Jews, and saying that she is totally anti-Semitic. But she really is pointing out a lot of good points of things, and she does like great investigative work. I love her stuff on Brigitte Macron and Trump even, MAGA being dead. I don't know that MAGA is dead, but I don't know that Trump is the head of it anymore. I think he's really kind of soiled his administration, even though there's still things that I'm happy about, like the Genius Act and the crypto thing, although Kamala Harris probably would have done something along those lines too. I just don't think the Democratic Party is anybody that is like pro murdering babies is like in my book. So, I'm generally always going to vote conservative because of that principle right there. And I think that's a lot of Christians as well. And the Democrats are just crazy. And then all the stuff with Obama, you think, who would want to be on this team right now? It's like its name is totally besmirched right now. And so, the thing with Trump and Epstein, he lied. He lied about it in front of everybody, saying there's no list there. Really, he was on the list. Okay, well, now you're saying that the intel is faked. Okay, well, how come you didn't say that in the first place? Now you look implicated. So that's a big deal. I mean, and he's always going to be implicated, even with his Bill Clinton stuff. Like, yeah, let's get Bill Clinton. He seems like he's totally in there. Trump is always going to have that sort of in the back of his mind, like, did he do it? The other deal on that, though, is that all these victims have never seen Trump. There's a lot of people. The butler of Epstein never saw Trump on there, or they weren't really friends, or he didn't know him or see him much. Now you wonder, okay, are they covering all this up? Why would a bunch of victims that already were like, all right, we're going to come out against Epstein, this is dangerous, this is our name on the line, not talk about Trump, if they didn't see him? Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? So there is still a hope that he hasn't done such an evil, egregious thing. And so I'm suspending my judgment on him. But I've always believed he was more of a Jehu than a Josiah, tearing down the high places, killing the prophets of Baal, but never really truly turning to God. But God draws straight lines with crooked sticks. Yeah, so Nick Fuentes, kind of unfortunate what's going on with him is that he's pretty much totally isolated except for his show on Cozy TV, and then every now and then he gets some hits on like Twitter, and even a lot of the black people are actually like really appreciating what he's saying about not hating black people, but not loving the black culture or what's going on, and just a lot of stuff he points out there. I'm not going to get into it. He is a conservative Catholic. I am not Catholic, but I bet you he would turn one day. I mean, if he starts seeing some goodness out of Protestantism and some good arguments against a lot of the stuff the church is doing, then, I mean, he might be another brother. Who knows? And I do believe a lot of Catholics are actually brothers, but I just believe a lot of Catholics are also not Orthodox Catholic. So, moving on. Trump, Epstein, Mossad, we kind of covered a lot of that stuff. Epstein, obviously involved with Mossad. He was wearing a Mossad shirt in one of the pictures with the butler. It was an IDF shirt, excuse me. There was the previous prime minister that visited or frequented his lair, Jeffrey Epstein's lair. And what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell. Her father, Robert Maxwell, known Mossad agent, famous Mossad agent. So obviously ties to Mossad, probably working more with Mossad than he is with the CIA, but apparently he did work with the CIA. All these things, when they're secret and they're having their own agendas and they're just okay with lies to be pragmatists, I believe. Not all of them. Each situation is unique, and maybe they're not all totally bad. Who knows? But the CIA definitely needs some transparency, some sunlight in there. And so, yeah, that actually brings us into Target Justice. So we went to Target Justice this morning, or the meeting that's supposed to be there. It's the second Saturday of every month, and nobody was there except for this lady. And I brought my gun. Whenever we were sitting outside looking around to see if somebody would come up, I talked to a few groups, and I was, hey, are y'all Target Justice? They said no. There was a woman that like parked right in front of us. She had a ball cap and glasses, and she was just sitting in her vehicle, like, okay, maybe waiting for somebody. But she like kept on like looking at me, and then I kept on looking back at her. Like I just stared her down until she moved forward in her car and like backwards over and over again to like block my view. And so, okay, maybe she's just uncomfortable or whatever, but like, why is she sitting there? Like, why does she look like a contractor, And then I go up to go inside, and I talk with another group there that was meeting, and but it wasn't my group, and I come back out, and she's gone. It's like that lady disappeared. And then Scott tells me, oh, she's actually still in the parking lot. And so I turn around, and she's like sitting at the parking lot still watching us and like hitting her vape pen and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, it just felt really sketchy. Also, I heard a dead animal squeal outside my house last Saturday or Sunday. I didn't talk about it, but I've been hearing weird noises and waking up with ringing in my ears. So, yeah, I've been getting good enough sleep, but I mean, it's still, I've been taking micro naps to like get my brain functioning, and exercising and breathing and all that sort of stuff. So it just seems to me, that's what it seems like to me. And there is a march going on September 5th through the 7th, I think. It starts September 5th. but it's a march that Targeted Justice is doing to bring attention to this stuff. So I'm considering registering and actually going there, maybe doing some live reporting. But I have to see if there's some interest there, if the money's there. We're watching a lot of storms that are coming up. The Gulf is ripe for hurricane season. That it's been quiet, but it's about to come in, I think, in full force. They're looking at possible hits in Louisiana. But nothing is for sure right now. It's still a couple weeks away before we can be certain. So if you haven't thought about that too much, you might want to start looking at it. But so Scott's situation is actually the other day, last Sunday is when he decided. There was some craziness with my neighbor I already talked about. But with Scott, he was telling me, he's like, I think I'm going to go to Virginia to meet this woman that he met on the bus on the way here. And to me, I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of weird, like a little convenient, because this woman apparently was another targeted victim. And I was like, I don't know about this, and then she was talking to him, she was borrowing my phone, like talking to her for like hours. And I was like, I'm going to have to talk with this woman eventually. And she tried to FaceTime him through my phone while I was laying down. So I opened it up and watched, and she told me her whole story. And hopefully one day, maybe I can let her tell her own story. But she's a beautiful, wonderful, bright individual that has gone through a lot of pain and has a good church network system in Roanoke, Virginia. And I believe that Scott can get real good help there. So I was like, you know what? Do it. One of the funny things that maybe Scott won't hear, but I haven't betrayed my confidence to her. I haven't betrayed Scott's confidence to her. But I still don't even know if I should say it. But I think they like each other. And so Scott's talking about, man, I'm probably still going to have sex with girls. And I'm like, well, you like outside of marriage? Well, that's a sin, right? And he was like, well, yeah, I guess. But I go, well, if you are like premeditated sin, it's kind of a serious deal, man. So, the Bible says if you won't be restored like that, then I'm to consider you anathema. And he was like, what's anathema? And I said, it means devoted to destruction. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I said, dude, you're almost 40. She's like 40. Why don't y'all just get married instead? Like, if your passion overflows, just get married with her. He's like, do you think she want to marry me? And I'm like, dude, you're a handsome guy. And she's also been gone through all this stuff. It just seemed like it'd be a really good match. And they talked for hours on the phone at a time, which is great because Scott loves to talk. And sometimes I just need some silence. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so Targeted Justice. Here we're going to look at this real quick. Boom. And then timelines. I did want to go over the timeline real quick. Let's see. It's under news timeline. So basically, people were wondering how this is even possible. And, this is all the satellite stuff, Voice to Skull, V2K. Ended up actually, with the Scott situation, was able to watch the live stream on Facebook, but my comments were actually stopped. Also, when we bought Scott's Virginia bus ticket, I tried to apply a Capital One coupon to the bus ticket, and it added $50. And I kept on trying to change my browser and other stuff to see if it was okay, it's weird. We tried it on his phone, and it kept going up. And I was like, what is this? And he's like, it's hacking. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because we're doing this at the last minute or, but it added $50 and then would not change it. And then it had the same added $50 on his phone and on Laura's phone. So I'm like, I don't know, man. That's kind of weird. Whatever. So going down the timeline, this goes from 1953. This is targeted weapons and stuff like that. V2K, GPS tracking, satellite microwave weapons. Started in 1953 under the orders of CIA Director Alan Dulles. Project MK Ultra has begun, headed by Signe Gottlieb. And so going all the way down, it obviously goes through the entire 70s and all that sort of thing until current day. The Air Force Space Command is renamed the U.S. Space Force. Additionally, members, and a lot of this stuff is apparently done through the Space Force. So that's a whole lot. And we're going to leave it at that right now because the story is still developing, and I might end up going to Virginia. Who knows? We'll see. I'm really excited by this. But that actually leads us into new founding. The new founding thing that I was I discovered through Canon Plus. So New Founding is this company that basically build the America you want to live in and connect with a partner. People will define a positive alternative vision for America. Yeah, so it's basically a venture capital firm that invests in Christian individuals and helping build the society that they want. And so I am working on my pitch to them and figuring out what they want and getting my allies together. And I've actually got a whole map of this, and I'm going to be working on my website. Next Friday, I'm going to be street preaching for the first time, so that'll be exciting. Maybe have somebody film it. We'll see. So yeah, I think the way forward is speech. You know, I have a photo that I took, and maybe I'll add it in here in post. Is it trying to get my finger to point at it? Yeah, maybe I'll have it in post. Basically about what my business will do and its different arms, and one of them will be activism, one of them will be speech, one of them will be journalism, and one of them will be media. So this will be the different arms of my business and sort of what they'll do. And I'll also have some commerce. You know, I think help with my fundraising is sell furniture that I get from work. You know, still be bivocational until I could get this off the ground. You know, but help is always great. So yeah, new founding, really super interesting. Ridge Runner. This was so cool. I watched this video. If you go and see it, let's see. Boom. If I can make it bigger. Struggle Bus. Boom, there it is. Ridge Runner, American Heartland, New Frontier beckons. So this is a society that they're building out here in Highland Rim region of Tennessee and Kentucky. Basically, they want to create a new town. And I was like, this is a dream that I've had. Now, I don't think I'll be able to get in on it with them, but maybe if I do a good job here, they'll save me a spot there, and I'll have some land in this new founding. I keep on wanting to say new foundation, but that's actually like a makeup brand. It's new founding. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm working on my pitch to them. I have got all this stuff going on. Oh, and I've also got a really great idea that I think is going to bring a lot of attention to like science, and it's my HIV. I have HIV. I don't know if I've said this before, but it's part of my testimony, part of my story. And so, yeah, I have it, and I fast a lot. And one of the things that I've learned about HIV is that it's in your cells. And so you can go through fasting, and your body goes through cellular autophagy, and it basically cleans out cells and gets rid of them. Well, there hasn't been many studies conducted on people that fast and are taking anti-HIV medication. So I might end up doing both, but I'll do a series where basically a public testing of me on a 40-day fast, maybe going to doctors, talking about different medications that I might try and kill it, and see if I can kill it, and then basically, okay, well, this is the way, and then basically that upends the pharmaceutical industry market on that. If people are able to go through it this way in a holistic, natural way. That'd be pretty cool, right? So I think it's just at least interesting to watch. There'll be some sort of results, and it'll be interesting to see somebody fast for 40 days under doctor supervision. So that's going to be part of one of my pitches in there. The business is the pitch, basically, and the different things that it'll be doing. And it's basically going to be a multimedia company where I'll be doing journalism, street preaching, activism, talking, and events. Really excited to do some events. I got some great events planned for Christian singles and for orphans. So yeah, some good stuff there. And already contacts made and events planned with some of these people. So yeah, continuing on with the relationship in a new context. So let's see. Let's look back at my notes. Target Justice, exciting new ventures. Yeah, and the Genius Act in crypto. So I went over, I pulled up my YouTube, and I happened to see something talking about XRP and crypto. And when I originally heard about XRP, it was from a couple buddies of mine at church, Ashton and his cousin Micah, so shout out. They were telling me that they were talking to this guy who was claiming to be a prophet about XRP and Bitcoin and all this sort of stuff. And this is when XRP is about $3.15 right now. This is when XRP was like 15, 20 cents or something like that. It was very low. And I was like, whatever. I'll put some money in it and just hold and save, in case he's right, like I can afford to put this in as a value savings kind of thing and just like forget about it. So that's grown since. And this video talked about basically how it's on a bell curve. It looks like it's coming up. And so there's, whenever like the internet was getting big or a lot of these services were getting big, like Google and Amazon, they were kind of like in a different pillars that were rising at the time, or horses would be a better analogy that you were backing. So if you could go back and invest in the internet, would you do it? And the reason why people are starting to compare this to the internet is because Trump signed in recently, this July 16th, I want to say, about to cough. Excuse me. Let's see if we can get it straight up here. Wapa, wapa, wapa. Yeah, so this is the fact sheet President Donald Trump signs the Genius Act into law. This is basically just talking about how it's possible to have cryptocurrency as a monetary use, as finances. Act prioritizes consumer protection, strengthens the U.S. dollar reserve, currency status, and bolsters our national security. Genius Act will make America an undisputed leader in digital assets, bringing massive investment and innovation to our country. So this is what they're pushing. And XRP is actually is the third biggest cryptocurrency that had to deal with a lot of lawsuits. Get this out of my face. That had to do with a lot of lawsuits that they actually won. And so it's been like dark horsing it from behind. And this was 5 years ago, I think, is when I first started investing in it. And like I said, it went from like 20 cents. It was low. I don't remember exactly what it was. I could go back and check, but it was low. It was like not even in the dollar range. And to now it's like now it's like $3. So, and I believe it's going to go up. This is like a beginning early bell curve. So I'm diversifying my assets and some of that stuff. Some of the things I can put in high value savings that I can afford to get rid of, I'm going to be putting in XRP. I already have stuff in Bitcoin already. That I think is on, like it's starting to not quite teeter out. I don't think it'll start teetering out until like way later. But it's growing, but not as exponential as this one because it's still early. Like I think Bitcoin's like at like a few $1,000s per Bitcoin or something like that. I don't know. I forget what it is. No, it's 103,000 or 116,000 actually. Last I looked per Bitcoin, and this is only $3 per Bitcoin. So even if that gets to 1,000, that is nutter balls, right? So looking at that in the future, hopefully you've got that and you're like, wow, my interest is peaked. Maybe I'll just throw some in there. You know, it's I forget what that's called. Yeah, it's just a misc fund basically. It's like, okay, well maybe this will get big, maybe it won't, but I think it will. So I'm hedging my bets on this one and putting some in there. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the show. We've been going for about 36 minutes. Not bad. Thank you very much for listening. I'm trying to think what else will be coming up next. I'll probably be doing a walk and talk tomorrow, and just like talking about what's coming up during the week and whatnot, and some relationship stuff. And basically what's going to be happening with Scott, his tickets for Tuesday, so he'll be leaving them. And what else? Oh, yeah, street preaching on Friday. There'll be something about that, at least me talking about it. And, yeah, maybe trying to do some more work videos because I have a whole bunch of those stacked up that I haven't worked on. I've just been so busy with Scott and all this reporting. It's really kind of just following a story. And it takes a lot to look into this. And it's like, I'm not an expert. I'm not verifiable. But he's got the scar. And honestly, there's a whole lot of people that I believe actually have been affected by this. And I can just see it. It just actually makes sense that it's all there. So for whoever may be watching this that doesn't like that, and they're probably going to be gang stalking me a little bit more, yeah, I'm going to keep following the story, and I'll put you on blast with any sort of thing that comes up, you know, and if you kill me, then I'll just be a martyr because I'm not suicidal. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and self-control. So without further ado, that is it for our episode. So thank you very much for watching, and may you bless the Lord, and may he keep you. Bye-bye.